What's going on, everyone? This is John from Build Better, and today I've got a Harrigan deck tech for you. When I opened up Predators, Harrigan was the first MC that really, I knew that he would be a lot of fun to play. So basically, the overview of this deck is that we have a hyper aggressive deck that is abusing Harrigan's ability to attack multiple times in a turn, and the M134 minigun, which anytime the equipped character attacks, you give -1/-1 characters to all your opponent's unprotected characters. So, how do we do this? Let's go through the characters first. We have 4 Harrigans. We use those for power-ups. It's really nice to power up on turn 1, both because you get XP based off of how much Harrigan strikes for, and the minigun only costs 2 if you have a prey character in your discard pile. So powering him up on turn 1, you can slide on that minigun really early, which that's really hard to answer that. We have 4 Iceman, 4 Hawkins. Hawkins is in there so that we can make some early team attacks and get some XP and hopefully get a couple extra stuns, because like I said, you're hyper aggressive, you're trying to stun every single turn. Iceman's in there pretty much just because he's an X-Men. The freeze does come in handy to help protect the minigun, but it's just really so you can play your X-Men plot twist. We have Namor and Hope Summers. Namor is just a solid aggressive creature that has 2 health and has flying. Hope is really bananas in this deck because all your X-Men, she gets their powers. So if you slide a minigun onto, say, Iceman, and all of a sudden, Hope also has sprouted a minigun out of her chest or something. I'm not really sure on the continuity of that. But she gains the power that when she attacks, she will also distribute -1 or 2 -1/-1 counters to the unprotected row. So that's another way that we can abuse the minigun. Deadpool's in here because we only need to use Harrigan's green once per game. So it's a good way to reuse the green. And so Deadpool comes into play on turn 3. Maybe he attacks, maybe he dies. Turn 4, we can use the green to bring him back, play Hope Summers, put a minigun on Deadpool. Now Hope Summers also has a minigun. So Deadpool's actually been really great in this deck. I might consider bumping him up to 3. I'm just not sure what I'd cut for it. We have 4 Lambert. Lambert's great because he is an X-Men for Hope Summers abilities, and the quick draw ability is just the stats and having quick draw. It's just really solid character. Our last playable character is Ghost. He has leap, so he's flying on your turn, so he's a flight and range 6/7, which if that wasn't good enough, he always gets to have a free minigun attached to him. So I've had a lot of games where it's really, it's so impactful that I get to play the 6 cost that is going to fly to your back row and shrink your entire front row. That's so, you don't need a lot because, like I said, you're hyper aggressive, so we only have 2. If you don't hit it, it's not the end of the world, but when you do hit it, it's just so sweet. Let's go over to our plot twist. We have 4 Stuff Happens, which is just a genuinely good plot twist for this team. It helps maybe if you're playing against like the Falconer, the characters that have the kind of effect that when they strike you, they're gonna stun you. So it kind of helps you make those attacks without being in any danger. We have 4 Death Traps, which is just a great defensive plot twist. We use that to protect our miniguns, because if you get stunned, you don't want to lose those. We have 4 X Factor, which it's good actually both early game and late game. You can use it early game to help get extra XP on Harrigan. So I've had games where I've got like 3 attack or 4 attack, and maybe my opponent has 5 defense. So I'll just slam in, get the XP, re-ready, slam in again, and now you're like 1 good attack away from leveling up. Next, we have our 2 of plot twists. We have 2 Savage Surprise. I only played 2 of them because it's really a kind of gotcha card. If it's in your opening hand and they try to attack into your Harrigan, it's 4 XP, which is just ridiculous. You don't really need them mid to late game though, so we kind of cut some out. 2 squad tactics, it's basically your 5th and 6th Harrigan, but sometimes the fact that you can do it for the whole team does come in handy, so it's been great. We have 2 uncanny defense, which primarily has been used to protect the minigun on whoever it's attached to, but you can also use it to, maybe you've played an Iceman and they use a flyer to try to get into your Iceman. You uncanny defense over to your Harrigan and you strike your opponent and gain some XP, maybe that helps you level up. It's a really tricky card, and it's actually one of my favorite cards in the game. We have our locations, which are 4 green, 4 yellow, and 4 headquarters. The green, like I said, we use for Deadpool primarily. We only have to use Harrigan's green ability once per game because it lasts for the entire game. Harrigan's yellow ability is basically playing a fair and balance, which is quite good. It helps you get that early stun on the first turn or two, and it helps bump up his XP. So, yeah. Of course, like I said, we have the 4 miniguns. The deck pretty much revolves around this card. I was actually like, when I built this deck, I was like, okay, this is kind of gimmicky, but it could be fun. And it's slowly trying to turn into this list you see here, and I've been incredibly impressed with it. I haven't got to play against the Ripley style decks, so like against those, I'm not exactly sure what the plan is yet, because she takes the game so late. But if you kind of hold your stuff and save it, you can kind of explode and have some really huge turns. For instance, if you're playing Hope at 2 XMen, and both those XMen have miniguns, all of a sudden you have 8 instances of minigun. That's enough to shrink anything down. So I would highly recommend trying this deck if you are into like the super aggressive decks. I think it can be very competitive. So yeah, thanks for hanging out and checking out the decks, guys. If you have any MCs that you'd like to see, let me know, and we will see you guys next time.